Come paint escape with us at the Taylor Farm today. Taylor Farm, August 2020. Anne and John Taylor are very good friends. I met them, feels like a very long time ago, and we met through church. I'll be honest, I don't remember the day I met them. They were just always at everything. They were so involved and so helpful. If anyone in the community needed help, there was John with his truck, or there was Anne lifting boxes. Phenomenal people. I am truly blessed to have met them, and to even better to have befriended them. And as a part of who they are, when I texted them and asked if I would be allowed to come onto their farm and paint, they, without hesitation, invited me. It was so welcoming and so wonderful. It was great just to hang out in the peace and quiet out on that field. It was a hot day, but I did have a little shade with my little umbrella there, and there was a wonderful breeze, so quite honestly I didn't feel hot out there, which was great. And they just kind of let me do my thing, and then when I was all done, we had a wonderful coffee and we got to catch up. I was so glad I went. So anyways, this farm had so many things that I could paint. It was really hard to choose. I decided to paint part of the main house, that's the white building, and then a part of the main red barn where the horses are kept. I would have loved to have been able to paint a horse, but as I explained to Anne, I'm not at the level where I could do a horse as a live model. I would need to take a picture and then work from it, and it would be quite a bit of work, just because I don't, as you guys have seen, I don't paint a lot of animals. I'm more landscapey. So let's talk about the landscape I'm doing. So I kind of did a quick background of green and that blue sky with just a couple wispy clouds. I basically got those in before I got into the White House. The White House was the furthest building that I could see in that image. I wanted to kind of have that layering effect because there were trees far behind the house, and then there was trees that were actually out in front, so I needed to get those layers going. And that's one of the really fun parts about using acrylic, is you can kind of say to yourself, what's furthest behind, paint that, and then what's next, and then paint that, and just kind of keep layering your paints, because the acrylic is so able to just layer on top of each other. So yeah, you can see the horses there in the background. They have such beautiful horses. It's just so wonderful being out there. I had so much fun. So I know I got that garage door wrong. As you can see, it's way too skinny. But there's a tree right in front of it, so I wasn't all that worried, because that was actually part of what I was struggling with in getting its right size, is there was a tree right in front of it, so I really couldn't see it. I could only see the edge of it. So please don't be fooled by that skinny door. That's not me not knowing how big a garage door is. That's just me painting what I can see. If you were to do this in watercolor, you wouldn't be able to do those layers the same way. You would have to section each piece off, and it's a different technique. Anyone who's done watercolor versus acrylic would know kind of what I mean. With the trees, I do feel my trees are getting better. I hope you guys feel the same way. I have been trying these last couple videos to add a lot more dark blue into my trees. That for the shadows, to create those little dark spaces that if you look, you'll see the bright sunlit leaves, and then in behind there's that little dark space. And I've been finding by adding that blue, it makes those little bright spaces that much brighter and gives you that depth feeling I've been finding. So there's one of my little painting tips for today. Add blue to your trees, ironically, of all things. So once I got the leaves mainly done, I started to go in. I started on the bottom with the trunks, and then I go into those blue spaces actually with some branches to give you a sense that these trees do connect down to those trunks, which connects to the ground, and that's very important. And the other, I guess my other little tip to the tree is get your basic outline shape of it. That's what you first saw me get in. Now you're gonna really see the blue. Now I'm coming to the trees that are more in front of buildings, but I still, even though blue is generally as part of that atmospheric perspective, yes, but the difference is the trees out in front still have the blue to create that depth, but they also have a brighter green out front, a yellower green, to show that they are closer to the viewer, the vantage point, than the ones that are further in behind. Now granted, in this picture you're not going to see that as much because these trees are all still pretty close together, but there is, I'm hoping you notice a difference, that those front trees have that little bit bigger punch of yellow going on. As I kept going, I did run into a couple strategy problems. One of them was my positioning of the fence and all the pieces of fence. There was actually a lot of fence pieces I just deleted because up by the barn there was so much fence that it got quite congested, because I mean it's logistical for what they're actually used for, right? You have the gate for the horse to get from one corral area to another corral area, all that. So I mean, functionally it makes total sense, but in the painting it was too crowded. So I actually, if you really look at the painting, if you took the horses out of the barn, they're not fenced in, mainly because it just got to be too much fencing, and I felt that distracted from the whole painting. This was what I call the leap of faith, where you paint now it's not black, it's Payne's gray, but let's be honest, it's the same effect, and you're just painting it right across, and you're hoping above all hope that you can pull this off, because if not, you just ruined the whole painting. There's no recovering that, other than painting over the whole thing. The good news is it worked. Yay! And I used my ruler a lot. I'm sure you saw that I pulled it out to get my first set of lines. Here I am pulling it out again, just because I wanted to get a good sense of perspective going on there, that didn't jar the eyes. I wanted it to be nice smooth lines, even though the wood is rustic, the wood is still very straight when you look at those fence lines, and I needed to get that. And quite honestly, I mean, I'd been painting for a couple hours by this point. My hand was actually starting to give way, and you'll see there's times I try to flip my hand up and over and it doesn't work, and I have to go back down, and it's just because my arm and hand were getting tired. I mean, in the end, this was a full day's painting out here. It was a lot of fun, and I'm so glad I got to do it. what I'm doing now are the little bits of fence that were far away and close up to the house and barn, kind of in behind. I had to fix a little mistake up in the sky. I accidentally overpainted the dark brown on the barn up into the sky, so I increased my cloud coverage titch to make up for that little mistake. For this field, it looked to me kind of like a clover field or an alfalfa field. I meant to ask John and Anne what it was, and I totally forgot. To give it a little more oomph, because it felt like a lot of empty space, really taking over quite a bit of the painting. So I put these really cute little white butterflies fluttering through that field, and then around the fence posts I put some taller grasses that maybe the lawnmower, well, let's be honest, tractor might have missed as it was going through the field. So at the end here, I'm just doing some last minute highlights, going through the trees. This is the Taylor farm. I'm so glad I got to paint it. It was a beautiful day, and it turned out to make a beautiful painting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.